So welcome to the Voltaire Room at the Taylor Institute Library. We are here with writer and poet Luis Amorim de Sousa, who kindly lent some of the material for the exhibition Mario Cesariny, an irreverent Portuguese poet-artist, whose birth we are celebrating here. Thank you very much, Luis, and welcome. We are now going to take you over some of the objects on this exhibition and also hear from Luis. So Luis, how did you meet Mario?
Well, I met Mario in London through Alberto Lacerda. I was very impressed with Mario's poetry, which I discovered in Mozambique, where I was staying at the time. Someone asked me if I had read Cesariny. I hadn't, and I ordered his book, Pena Capital, and I was completely dazzled by it. So when I came to London and I met Alberto Lacerda, Alberto asked me, who are the poets? I was only 21 at the time. Who are the poets that he must admire, and so on. And I said, David Melbriner, Mario Cesariny, and Alberto said, he's the best one of us all. So Mario Cesariny came to London, and Alberto made a point of introducing us.
So they knew each other already?
Yes, they already knew each other from Lisbon. And we had lunch at a Chinese restaurant with the poet. This was quite a long time ago, 1964, with the poet Christopher Middleton. And that's when I met Mario Cesariny. There's a picture of us by the River Thames, which I always celebrated, and he too, and Alberto.
And what about Pena Capital?
Pena Capital was, it's almost a startling book, because first of all, it reads very easily. It's got a very sort of easy way of composing verse. You don't stumble on lines, you just flow with them. And actually flowing appears a lot in Mario's work, including his painting. But I ordered a book, and it came, and I carried it with me ever since. Curiously enough, when later on Mario stayed in my house, I showed him my copy of Pena Capital, and there were some splashes of soy sauce, because as I carried the book with me, I took it to restaurants, including Chinese restaurants, where I was putting soy sauce on my Chinese fried rice, and splashes fell on the cover. And I apologized to him. I said, look, it's splashed with soy sauce. He said, he said, it looks like a constellation.
Very appropriate for Mario, right?
Very appropriate.
And so you met his poetry before you met the man.
Yes, and then I ordered a book right away. In those days, editions were 250 copies. And in fact, I ordered a book at random. Said, have you got anything else? I ordered from the publisher. Have you got anything, Contrapunto? Have you got anything else to offer? And he sent me a book. It was signed by the editor, it was numbered, and then later on Mario signed it. It was a wonderful little book.
So Luis, what year did Mario come to visit you?
Well, the first time he came to London, I think, was 1964. It was actually May 1964. And that's when Alberto Lacerda took care of him, very kindly introduced me to
Alberto Lacerda, whom we can see here in this
Alberto
photograph.
Lacerda lived in an extraordinary house in Chelsea, which he loved, which was famous for various reasons. There were collectors and so on. The people owned the house, where he lived for a very long time. And he was Mario's guide to London, and introduced him to various people, not only English, but some Portuguese ones as well. There was a community of Portuguese creative writers and artists in London at the time. And among them, Paulo Rego. There's a picture of Paulo Rego, Alberto, and Mario. There's a picture of Paulo Rego, Alberto, and Mario. They were very good friends, the three of them together. And and what sum of talent they represented.
And he came back again?
He came back again. He liked London, because London was two things happened. First of all, London was in a process of change. In the 60s, changed London. The city of the fogs and the dark colors and the bowler hats and disappeared, and gave light to, they gave the stage to color and to freedom of gestures and flowing hair and all kinds of things. And it was very creative, all kinds of new painters and actors, and everybody appeared on the scene. Mario was very thrilled with that. Alberto knew a lot of those people, and he introduced, not only him, Elder and Susetma said, also introduced him to people, and so did I. And Mario was very taken by the freedom that existed in London, as opposed to the Salazar regime, which was somber, as we know, and oppressive, and all of those horrible things that we got rid of in 1974.
And I've heard that he stayed in your house a couple of times.
What he did, you see, there was a group of people, Portuguese, lived here, and there was some who visited regularly. One of them was Jorge de Sena, the female Brenner as well. I was very lucky. This was the top of my generation. And anyway, so Jorge de Sena and Mario had quarreled about surrealism. And every time Jorge de Sena came to London, he stayed with Elder Macedo. And he wrote to Elder when Mario was staying with Elder Macedo, saying, I'm arriving and I'm counting on your hospitality as usual. Elder called me in a panic. I can't have them together in a house.
Oh, they didn't like each other.
They didn't like each other, no. So, can I have Mario for a few days? Well, I said, yes, I was very honored, but the point was I had small children. They were 5, 4, and a baby. And Mario it's not Mario's world, you know. So I was a bit concerned, but they got on very well. And he came, and he stayed for 4 months.
4 months?
4 months. And it was an active time in his life. And much to my surprise, he kept regular hours, worked late into the night. He stayed in my study. He asked me at one point, can I raise there was a divan, can I raise the divan because I need to have my head higher than my feet? I said, of course. So, can I get some books? Yes. And he got 2 copies of the Lucias. It was actually an edition with two volumes. And he put
was
one
sleeping on top of the canon.
Yes. And he said, you know, it's very good. I'm very comfortable now. And this is very good because of culture, he said. And he stayed there for a long time. And curiously enough, I had made a collage. I had made collages, both poetry collages and visual collages. There was one there, which was a judge. Mario became very friendly with the judge. And when he left, he asked me, can I bring the judge? Well, that judge was included in the exhibition which he later organized, called Myers, was there. And it's an exhibition that included the people who didn't have a voice or a chance of appearing in public. And my judge appeared there as well. So I was actually, so I dedicated the program to me, the catalog to me, saying that I also participated in the Myers exhibition.
And I know that he was very taken by a squirrel. Do you want to tell us
the
that
story?
story?
The squirrel, yes. I was fetching my son from school. He was a little boy, 4-year-old one. And I lived by the edge of a park in Hampstead. And there was a squirrel that had climbed up the tree, a baby squirrel, small little squirrel. And I was trying to show it to my son. The squirrel came down and climbed over me into my shoulder. He sat on my shoulder, which petrified me, I must say. But anyway, I grabbed the squirrel, took it home. Mario was there. We had chips that day. I think we were having fish and chips, something like that. The squirrel loved the chips. Well, at the same time, the children had a couple of guinea pigs. And they were called the Andrews sisters because they all sit together like this. And anyway, Mario fell in love with the squirrel. And he said, let's banish the squirrels and adopt the guinea pigs and adopt the squirrel. You can't adopt squirrels, so we had to let it go. But curiously enough, a blank piece of paper with one word appeared in Alberto Serra's collection when I inherited his papers. And that said, squirrel. It was Mario in conversation with Alberto saying, how do you write squirrel in English? And Alberto wrote squirrel. Oh. So there's a blank piece of paper somewhere, I don't know, probably the National Library, with the word squirrel written by Alberto Serra for the benefit of Mario.
Did he manage to write while he was
He wrote quite a bit. He wrote poems of London, Poemas de Londres, and Poemas de Londres was partly written in my house, curiously enough. And in one of those very touching memoir, the souvenir, he mentions me. He calls me Luis Sousa, not Luis Amorim de Sousa, which is my literary name. He was making corrections on the proofs of the book, and he sent me the one with the correction, the page with the corrections where my name is mentioned. Mm. It was a very personal gift that I found, and I was very touched by it, really. I became very honored. I felt very honored. And also published a poem which carries a dedication to me and Michael Hamburger, and Jasmine. Jasmine was in London, was a friend of all of us. Anyway, and Mario was, Michael Hamburger and I attempted a translation of Mario, published in a very nice literary magazine, very good indeed, called Agenda.
Also, he managed to
publish one poem. Well,
translated,
yeah,
I'm assuming.
You see, there was not really a great deal of accueil for Portuguese writers in London. You know, they were here. There were a number of them. Quite a number of them came up. Anna Hatterley was here. Sophia came from time to time. Rosina came. He wrote here as well.
Elder was living
Elder
here.
Macedo. I was here. A few other people, quite a few others, and you know. There was a sense of sharing. We all had friends from not only from the English cultural environment, but from various other nationalities. But the Portuguese have not been able to express themselves very well, to reach the outside world very well, and it was difficult to get Mario published, and he wasn't. But I hope he will. Nevertheless, he was known. I mean, there were a number of people, quite a number of people were aware of him, and admired him.
Where did he publish then in the end?
Well, in Agenda, the magazine Agenda, yes,
Mm.
there's just one poem translated by me and Michael Hamburger. The project was also affected by something else, a personal note. Michael Hamburger had separated from his wife, Anne Beresford, and they reunited successfully. And this was happening just as they got together again. And I stopped seeing Michael with him with the facility that they had before, with the frequency they had before. So. But anyway, it was left in the inkwell, as we say in Portuguese. Ficou no tinteiro.
So, Luis, we are very thankful to you for sharing with us your memories of Mario and also the things that you've collected over the years. We're also very thankful to the Bodleian Library for making this exhibition available here at the Voltaire Room and sharing as well some of the books that they have also collected over the years from Mario. And I think it's quite interesting as well, the fact that they have been collecting Mario's writing and his poetry since very early on. We can see, for example, here in the stamp from the Taylor Institution that this one, which is the Antologia Surrealista do Cadáver Esquisito, which when would have been published? Maybe early
60s.
Early 60s. And so in 1967 we can see that it joined the library collection, which is really interesting because it just shows us that there was someone.
There are people who do look around and
exactly,
see what's going on.
and see what's going on and can
and
identify.
Mario fully deserved it.
Very much so. Thank you.
My pleasure.